Guys, I want to tell you about our friends over at Frost Buddy. It is drinkware engineered to keep your beverages exactly how you want them. Whether you're heading out for an adventure or just powering through your day, Frost Buddy's flagship product, the Universal Buddy, replaces the need for multiple can coolers by fitting virtually every 12-ounce and 16-ounce can bottle you drink, sodas and seltzers to coffee and sparkling water, all in a single versatile design. Constructed with high quality double walled stainless steel and thoughtful features like a flexible silicone lid and a tapered shape that fits most cup holders, Frost Buddy keeps drinks cold for 12 hours and hot for up to 6 hours. So you get consistent temperature control, whether it's an iced drink on a hot afternoon or a hot coffee on the drive to work. Built to last, field tested for durability, and backed by a 30-day return policy, Frost Buddy makes everyday moments from tailgates and beach days to backyard cookouts and commutes more enjoyable. Going over and click the link below and use promo code SSS15 to get 15% off of your first purchase when you visit our friends over at frostbuddy.com. And when you use that promo code SSS15. Are you tired of spending upwards of $7 to $8 on coffees that are full of sugar and high in fat? Well, look no further than Chike Nutrition, the brand redefining what coffee can do for your day. Chike Nutrition combines the rich, familiar taste of real coffee with 20 grams of high-quality protein and the energy of 2 shots of espresso, giving you both fuel and function in every scoop. Available in a variety of crave-worthy flavors like mocha, caramel, vanilla, and many more, Chike delivers smooth, cafe-style iced coffee that mixes instantly with water or your favorite milk, with no clunky blender or complicated prep needed. Each serving is designed to be low in sugar, packed with protein, and loaded with real espresso, so that you can get a sustained energy boost that helps power your morning, workout, or busy afternoon without the crash that comes from sugary coffee drinks. Whether you're looking for better nutrition in your coffee routine or a smarter way to stay energized and full longer, Chike makes it simple. Scoop, shake, sip, and enjoy. If you want to take advantage of the new year and get in the best shape of your life, click the link below and get yourself 10% off of your first order over at ChikeNutrition.com. Okay. Wait. Is my mic on? This it's on. Okay, so I came in ready to. Why is my freaking everything going here? I came in ready to go. Going to have a no this morning. I was like, okay, back from vacation. Great to be back. By the way, guys, apologies for the delay. I have been AFK for a while. Went on vacation this past week. We're back in the studio for the next 5 weeks before we go back on vacation once again. But I was just going to have a normal show today. We're going to talk about week 0. We're going to talk all things week 0. Going to have a lot to discuss. And then we have the whole situation with Daquan Wright. We have the whole situation about Todd Monken says, well, we were contacted by Lane Kiffin. And then Lane Kiffin says, no, we never got in contact with Todd Monken. And Todd Monken says, well, I never really talked to him, but we had other people around me that talked to him. So who's in the right or wrong with this situation? Then you have the SEC kicking their feet when it comes to this whole rule situation with Daquan Wright. And they say, or Dejon Stribling, not Daquan Wright. I don't know why I said Daquan Wright. I should say Daquan Wright. Oh, wait, it is Daquan Wright. Because I know Dejon Stribling is in a thing. I don't know. Burks is in the chat. He says, did you become an OU fan just now? No, I'm going to become an Oklahoma State fan in just a little bit. He says O and F LSU, just saying. Yeah. We also got Artistically Incredible in the chat.
Burks and Lucas, how we doing today? Doing really well, man. Just got home I got home about 2-3 hours ago from the great state of Oklahoma once again. So it was a good little time that we got to spend with some friends. So yeah, man, we're gonna be back up and rolling in the next couple of weeks with some college football content for you guys. But again, I came into this offseason ready to roll, ready to get everything started. And then we have the BS. Once again, you have all this stupidity that's going on, and you have all of the complete garbage that the SEC kicking their feet with this whole situation with Dave Wright. You have them saying, oh, well, we don't like NFL players coming back, but hey, guess what? I guess it doesn't matter. So what are we doing here? What is literally the point of putting out a statement like that if you're not going to address the central issue? It's not until the Big Ten comes out and they say, okay, no NFL players in our conference. And then the SEC sees it and says, oh, time for us to join in. Yeah. It's been a type of day. And then Notre Dame follows. And then the ACC follows. And now the Big 12 is in talks. None of this makes any sense, man. Guys, we are taking live phone calls today. I do have a caller on the line. You know who it is. But before we get into that, guys, make sure you go on over and check out our friends at frostbuddy.com. Use the promo code SSS15 to get 15% off your first purchase. That's code SSS15 to get 15% off your first purchase. We also want to thank our friends and partners over at Chike Nutrition. 20 grams of protein, 1 gram of fat, 1 gram of sugar, and every healthy, hearty cup of Chike Nutrition iced coffee. Click the link below. Get yourself 10% off of your first purchase. And as always, thank you to our friends at Buzzer. We have videos that are going to be pushed out there very soon. So get on over to the Buzzer app and start your content creation possibly today. Yeah, Burks, you wish it was Jackson as the first caller. Take a guess on who it is. Hey, Caden.
Good evening, Lucas. How are we doing on this fine Tuesday evening? And welcome back from Oklahoma.
You know, Caden, I woke up this morning and I woke up in an actually really good mood. So here's the thing. I was going to leave yesterday from Oklahoma, and then it got really late at night. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to wait till tomorrow to leave. But, I mean, we had a really good week. It was good to kind of be away for the most part from social media. But I feel like every time I go away on vacation, there's always something crazy that happens at the end of the day. But welcome to the world of college football, man. But Caden, what'd you think of your conference stepping up and saying, hey, no NFL guys are coming in back to college football?
You know what? It's a good move on them. We shouldn't have NFL guys coming back to college. College is for only college guys, quite frankly. I mean, this whole bull crap is just a whole another level of bull crap that college football is starting to spiral it because of all the NIL money, all the shenanigans, all this nonsense. Right. I mean, this nonsense has been going on for what? Since 2021 for all this NIL bull crap and all that nonsense started.
Wait, hold on, Caden. None of this has to do part of it has to do with NIL a little bit. Another part of it is because of the 5-for-5 injunction that was brought down by the NCAA back at the beginning of the year, I believe.
Back at the beginning of the year.
Allowed 5 years to play 5 years to play 5 years of college football. And apparently they didn't include the class of 2022, which in hindsight, 2020, yes, you should have done. The NCAA should have done that at the beginning of the year when they proposed this. But
yeah.
The way this was handled and the timing of it all, when the judge from Colorado, Charlotte Swinney, dropped this bombshell on us back at the end of July, when this whole can of worms opened up. And so you had all of the garbage that people were spewing about this. And eventually it gets to the point where you have guys that were literally playing in preseason football games, hearing that they were going to get cut and saying, hey, I talked to my agent. We want to negotiate a deal to return to college football. And we're 2 weeks away from the season at the time of this happening. Now we're 4 days away from the season opener.
Yeah, this, like I said, it's another line of bull crap. I mean, I'm just being honest. And let me just say this: in my 11-year career as a farmhand, and next June will be 12 years, I've worked with the same family and not complained once. And you know what? I was even talking with my employers, and even my boss was talking about this. We heard all this news, and we're like, this is the same, this is just a whole nother can of worms that they're opening up that is that was going to make college football even a more terrible sport. And it's like, yeah, we don't even got to say more about it. I mean, let me tell you another situation, Lucas, similar to this. With Hollywood, geez, I'm telling you, that whole ever since Disney Channel and Nickelodeon started getting all those deals, and then they started getting out of that whole ordeal, it was just, yeah, it's a mud hole.
What are you talking about, Caden? Caden, what are you talking about?
My point is, Lucas, it's a whole other can of worms that college football is opening up. I mean, college football is going to continue to open up more can of worms that are just so full of crap that, yeah, I mean, it's really plain and simple.
Well, I mean, the NCAA did this to themselves too. I mean, they have nobody else to blame but
themselves.
Yes, because of the way that they have handled things, the way that they have had, the way that they have kind of kicked the can a little bit with this whole injunction, with the way that they've handled all the court cases that they've had to deal with. Look, the NCAA has no teeth. Let's be real about it.
They have no teeth and they have money. They can try to blame everybody else, but then it realized it was their fault in the first place.
Yes.
The NCAA is so full of crap that, quite frankly, I can even say I'm glad that I'm in the position that I'm at, because I wouldn't know what I would do if I had, the millions of dollars and everything else and all this bull crap happening. Because quite frankly, it's stupid, to be honest. I mean, it's just seriously just stupid.
I mean,
I
disagree with you, to be honest.
I'm just being honest, Lucas. Because I always like to tell people this quote from me: if I wasn't an honest man, I'd be in the grave, and if I am, I'm still talking and I'm still breathing. So, I'm just saying it as honest as I can be.
Caden, you got a new subscriber.
Oh, I saw that. Thank you, Artistically Incredible. I do appreciate that. But Lucas Hill, I mean, bottom line is college football, and especially the NCAA, they're just going to continue opening up these $1 million can of worms, one after the other. It's just more bull crap and bull crap and bull crap and bull crap. Like, you're going to have to get, you're going to have the NCAA call me the next time the NCAA opens up a can of worms, so I can clean up that can of worms and haul it off to the, to the junkyard or the manure pit, because that's nobody needs to hear all this bull crap going on. Like, seriously.
Well, again,
I'm sorry, but I'm like I said, I'm just being as honest as I can be, and I'm not sugarcoating it.
Well, I mean, you don't have to at this point. I mean, It's we're at the point where you're sick and tired of all of the NCAA has done. And what really ticked me off about this whole situation when I initially saw it, what was it? I think this was a couple of days ago when they finally put this out. So I'm looking at I'm going to read you the two statements that the SEC put out. The first one was, I believe, it was yesterday evening. The second statement they put out was earlier this afternoon, not even 24 hours after the first one. After a Monday evening video conference of the presidents and chancellors of the Southeastern Conference, the conference is issuing the following statement. College athletes, not former professional athletes, have been at the heart of the Southeastern Conference. Individuals who choose to leave college athletics, sign professional playing contracts, and compete professionally should not then be permitted to return to college competition. Allowing that to occur will blur the line between college and professional sports, create significant competitive equity concerns, and reduce opportunities for high school and current college athletes. College sports are for college athletes. This current confusion around national eligibility standards emphasizes the need to advance the Protect College Sports Act. So basically what they did was, we're not going to do anything right freaking now. We're just wanting to advocate for you to promote the Protect College Sports Act, which is a widely, at this point in time, I don't know if it is very, 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 shall we say, popular at the moment. And it's been really up and down with this whole situation. So I don't understand where this is going at this point, but you have got to know that the SEC was going to face significant backlash after they put out this statement. This statement basically said, well, we know it's happening. We're acknowledging that it's happening. But hey, unless Congress steps up, that's all we can do.
Yeah. And quite frankly, like I said, Lucas, you know, this is a whole nother can of worms. And they acknowledge that they opened up this can of worm, but yet they're waiting until Congress passes the Protect College Sports Act to do something about it. And quite frankly, the NCAA should have never brought this up in the first place, or even opened up that whole entire can of worms in the first place. Because they would have knew the consequences, but yet they decided to ignore. So, I mean, quite frankly, the NCAA has, quite frankly, gone insane.
Well, they've been going insane, but, I mean...
But this is like the high peak of them going insane and all that money and all this bull crap. And it's like, I'm tired of it. I'm sick and tired of it. So, I mean, what else can I say except I'm tired of their bull crap, and this bull crap needs to come to an end. And quite frankly,
well, Caden, unfortunately, it's not going to, not in the court system, because I just saw this from Pete Thamel. Statement from attorney Ryan Downton. So the Ryan Downton, I believe, is an NIL lawyer. The SEC's actions put the NCAA in contempt of multiple court orders. It is cartel-like conduct when the NCAA conferences attempt to create their own spur-of-the-moment rules in response to courts enjoining those same rules at the NCAA letter. Okay, well, here's the thing. You're talking about, but there's other rules within the NCAA as well as saying you cannot transfer within your own conference, especially if you are, I don't remember the exact rules. I think if you're a grad transfer, you can't transfer within the same conference. I believe that's the rule.
Yeah, that's the rule. You can't. If you're a grad student, you can't transfer within the conference.
But if you're an undergrad, you can transfer within the conference, which makes sense, in my opinion. But whatever.
It's just more their stupidness. That's in my opinion.
The bottom line is this. From the statement that I saw, the fact that you have to have the Big Ten come in and finally say, hey, NFL players aren't coming in our conference. Perfect. That's it. And then the SEC finally comes up and says, all right, we're going to do the same thing. Following meetings with the presidents, chancellors, and athletic directors of the SEC will enforce the following policy. This is 2 hours ago. An SEC institution is not permitted to have an athlete on its roster who has, quote, previously declared for the NFL, NBA, or WNBA draft and did not appropriately withdraw, signed a contract with an NFL team, been listed on an NFL roster. The commissioner is authorized to enforce this expectation with penalties against member institutions. Okay, listen. This is another example of the freaking Big Ten that is leading the charge at the end of the day with the way things are going and the way that things are in the state of college football. The Big Ten reigns supreme on college football, both on and off the field at this point. The SEC is basically just kicking their feet when it comes to this situation, which they know they shouldn't. It's a stupid thing to even consider at the end of the day. It made no sense for them to just say, well, we're just going to freaking wait here until somebody says, oh, Big Ten steps up. Wow, well, yeah, let's go ahead. Let's freaking go ahead and let's follow suit with that. What that makes me do?
One of you.
How I feel about the whole situation. This makes me so mad, and it is so ridiculous that we are. What day is it? It's Tuesday. We're 2 days away officially from college football becoming back into the field. We're 4 days away from FBS football returning.
Yeah,
we're a week and a half away from the rest of college football playing, and we got to deal with this.
Yeah, this is bull crap.
And we have TROs. We have judges that granted TROs to guys that were on preseason rosters. Jack Pyburn was playing for the freaking Tampa Bay Buccaneers and had 2 sacks a couple weeks ago, and he got a TRO. How does that make sense?
It doesn't. And quite frankly, it never will. And you know what? Here's my advice, Lucas. If you feel upset, and my advice is simple. I know you're drinking a Coke. Drink Mountain Dew. It helps.
I'm not drinking Mountain Dew. You're never getting me to drink Mountain Dew.
Listen, you know I'm a lover of Mountain Dew. You know I love Mountain Dew. Hell, Jackson knows I love Mountain Dew. But you know what I would just do is crack open a cold can of Mountain Dew and say, the bull crap roll, because no one ain't going to stop this bull crap from coming. And just be like, oh, well, it's their goddamn fault.
I'm sorry, Caden, but I just saw artistically comment. Lucas, why are you wearing that disgusting OU gear? Oh my!
I know we've got a Texas Longhorns fan in the building.
I didn't realize you were a Texas fan. Okay.
Well, you know what? I'm putting the horns down right now because, well, we're going to beat Texas again, and Ohio State's going to kick the crap out of them again. Horns down, baby.
Look, okay, artistically, hear me out. I was in Oklahoma. Okay, I was in Oklahoma this past week. All right. We went to Bell's. I don't know if y'all know what Bell's is. It's basically like a TJ Maxx or a Ross Dress for Less. We went around the discount aisle, bro. I mean, come on. I paid $10 for this too. So you and Burks are having a very interesting conversation right now in the chat. And
because Burks wants Texas to beat Ohio State at Texas. But quite frankly, from what I hear of Arch Manning, he's not sounding like he's improving like his uncles made statements. Because quite frankly, his uncles won't keep his name out of their mouths and saying, oh, he's improving, he's doing this, he's doing that, he's being smart about his plays. He's being smart at practice. Peyton Manning, for the love of God, get your butt out of the seat and actually train the kid. Jeez. I know you're sitting comfortably in retirement and you're training your own son, Marshall Manning, who's a class of 2028 rookie to commit to a college. But why don't you get out there to Austin, Texas, and get out there on the same practice with your own dang nephew? The same nephew who all college football claimed to be Texas's chosen one. The one to save y'all's program, to bring y'all a trophy, to win the Heisman. You all went over and beyond on Arch Manning, saying, oh, the nephew of Peyton Manning is going to tear down college football. He's going to be great. Yada, yada, yada. Lucas, I don't need to remind you, but Texas fans went all over and beyond on Arch Manning. All for 2 years. And now they're all saying, oh, he had a terrible year. They were giving him this. Bull crap.
Arch didn't have a terrible year because the offensive line was bad.
Yeah, but it's like, he made those plays in the biggest games that they were expecting him to beat. They wanted him to beat Ohio State. They wanted him to beat Georgia. He fumbled.
You know why then that the target on Steve Sarkisian's back is very big then? It's because of the comments that he's made, and the history just hasn't backed up what Steve Sarkisian has done in the past. So
it's not even Steve Sarkisian
wins the big one. I am not sold on Texas at all this year.
No. And you know what? It's not even Steve Sarkisian. It's his quarterback also. You have to remember, Steve Sarkisian is the one who brought Arch Manning on the Texans.
Well, I think
his uncle.
Because you need an actual play caller. I'm just
putting
that out.
But it's not even just the play caller. They wanted him because SEC royalty, the first family of the SEC royalty bloodline. Because he's the Manning. He's the chosen one. Like they thought he was the prophecy of the chosen one to bring Texas glory. Jeez, give me a freaking break, Texas fans. Give me a freaking break. Arch Manning is over. No, I was just going to say Arch Manning's overhyped and overbearing. And quite frankly, he needs to get his head out of his rear end and start actually training more. And Nady, why don't you, and I want Arch Manning to hear this, and I know Arch Manning, do me a favor. Call your uncles down to Texas, Austin, Texas, to your own practice facility and tell them to get their butts in there to train you. Because quite frankly, I don't believe you're the same quarterback that everybody's talking about. I don't believe it. And artistically incredible, I want you to tag Arch Manning. I want you to tag Eli, Peyton Manning. Tag his grandpa, Archie Manning.
No. Archie's not even on social media, so what's the point?
I don't care. I'm just saying, why don't you tell the Manning family to get their butts down to Austin to train that kid, to get him better? Because quite frankly, like I've said over and over again, Arch Manning is not him. I mean, geez. Like everybody does this about some generational superstar. Really. I'm telling you.
And then
I didn't say that about Terrell Pryor. I didn't say Terrell Pryor was a once in a gen.
Then the tattoos happened.
Like I didn't say nothing about it, Lucas. I didn't say nothing about it.
I'm not saying that you said something about it. I'm just giving you an example of of y'all's fan base. Okay, that's all.
Oh, I know. I know that you're saying that, but I'm just saying, like, on their part, that they said a once in a generational type of a talented superstar in high school that every one of them claimed was him, the chosen one, the savior of their program. Give me a break. Give me an absolute break. And, I'll say this about Marshall Manning. Marshall Manning is not going to be as good or even be any part of his dad in college football or the NFL, quite frankly.
Also only 14 years old, too. So, I mean.
Because everybody's talking about the Mannings, Lucas.
Caden, anything else for you tonight? I got to have you wrap it up. I got another caller that's waiting.
Well, good to hear from you, Lucas Azares, and sorry about that rant about a particular family that I'm tired about.
There is nothing better in my life than you ranting about this. I always enjoy your rants. So
really, because it seems like you don't, quite frankly.
Why on earth would I not like your rants? Okay, Sometimes you go off the rails sometimes, and I got to calm you down at times. But other than that, your rants are very funny. Okay.
Well, this one in particular was facts. In particularly, I had to let everybody know that, you know, you
By the
can't
way,
just
we found Caden's Facebook. How did we find
congratulations.
your Facebook? Hey, the internet is very, very interesting.
Well, congratulations. You found my Facebook, Lucas Hill.
I'll be honest, man. I was shocked. You actually did. You got to meet some Ohio State fans, or not Ohio State fans, Ohio State football players, which I was very impressed with. Okay, I'm glad that you got to meet them at that little meet and greet and stuff.
I didn't just get to meet him with the meet and greets. I went to the facility. Like I got
you
to
were inside the facility. I was impressed.
And that was during when media wasn't allowed during the winter and boot camps. So
Okay, well, anyways.
Anyway, Lucas, always great to hear from you and have a good conversation. Catch you later, my friend. Go Bucks, and you already know I'm all out of here.
There it is. All right, well, that's Caden the D's Freak. Next caller up, it's Burks. Hey, Burks, how are you tonight, buddy?
Oh, what's up, my man? So excited for college football, dude. So excited.
I could hear your voice like you are ready to finally get up here for once.
Yeah, you know, when Caden once in a while he goes off topic, then it's like, okay, you know what? Move on a little,
Brother, how do you think I feel? I tried to get him off for a long time, and that's why I tried to wrap it up.
Yeah, is this a Marshall Manning, man? Like, come on, dude.
I don't know.
Stay on topic, bro.
Talking about Marshall Manning all of a sudden.
Holy crap. Oh my God. Yeah.
What's on your mind tonight, Burks?
Well, let's talk about elephant in the room, man. LSU, dude. I'm disgusted with. Okay, so let me tell you something, right? I respect SEC football. I actually used to all the time when I was a kid.
You used to respect SEC football.
Yes, I did. And I'm just a little disappointed with what LSU and these SEC schools. Well, it's only LSU right now, but
well, you got to be disappointed. Well, here's where I will defend Lane Kiffin at times. He took advantage of the rule at the time because of the TR, or really because of the judge's ruling that allowed for him to go get a guy like, or not DeJohn Strickland, but Daquan Wright, and potentially get him on the roster. Okay. But I don't think it was the right way to go about it. Do I agree that NFL players that were on preseason rosters, whatever roster, mini camp, deserve to be back in college football? No. That's the same thing with Texas's center that has a lot of snaps on her. That's great. But I don't think he should have gotten a TRO. I think he should have stayed in the NFL. I think he should have stayed on the practice squad. But it's not a good fallback. And it's the fact that the SEC kicked their feet and just released a plain statement that said, okay, or Cole Hudson. Yes, thank you artistically. But the fact that you have this and you have this statement that the SEC released about how, we need to just protect college sports day. Not actually going out and saying, all right, we're not letting these NFL players coming back to college. Okay. That's when you start to lose a hell of a lot of respect for those types of chancellors, the presidents, and Sankey himself.
100%, man. Listen, there's something called respect that LSU could have done. They could have just been like, hey, man, I know they're taking advantage of the rules. Okay. They're not doing anything wrong on that part. But there's something called respect. And, if they said, no, we're not going to do it, then a lot of these SEC schools could go and say, hey, no, we're not going to do it. Or, hey, no, we're not going to bring this player in. Like, look at the Big Ten, right? They did it right off the bat. Like, hey, we're not bringing anyone who signed a contract like today, which I'm so happy Big Ten is doing this because I was actually really surprised. I thought Big Ten was going to be like, hey, let's any players who got caught or something, hey, come over here, But, at the end of the day, man, like LSU, dude, I don't know. Like, there's a reason why I hate the university more than any university. No offense, okay? Because they are just the villains at this point in both football and basketball. Like basketball, I don't know if you heard about basketball, but Will Wade, right, is getting those players that are, they got drafted in the NBA and stuff. And so now it's just becoming a huge, like, Will Wade and Lane Kiffin. And I think this is part of the LSU administration. They're probably like, do anything to win as long as, you're following the rules. Even if we're going to get disrespected or people are going to hate us, who cares, man? We are only caring about winning championships right now. And that's LSU. They're hungry for titles, which I like that part. But at the same time, it's like, bro, you're going to make yourself more enemies. You're going to just get like way more people are going to hate you more. NCAA and like all these other schools are going to like be disgusted. So they're just not doing themselves any favor in that part,
No, and the people that are going out and saying that, and what I've heard, this is the common theme. Oh, they let Lewis Moore play, and he was 25 years old, and he had all these JUCO years ahead of him, and we should let him play for that. Okay, that's one whole thing. That was a very rare case, but here's the thing. There was no NFL contract that was signed. He never declared for the NFL draft. He went into the transfer portal. Okay, you're talking about guys that were on preseason rosters, that were playing in preseason games. Jack Pyburn, who played a couple weeks ago for the Buccaneers, he had 2 sacks in a preseason game, and he gets a preliminary injunction to return to college football. Dejon Stribling, who we've heard quite a bit. Or no, not Dejon Stribling. I don't know why I'm confusing Dejon Stribling and Daquan Wright. I really, really don't understand.
He's the tight end. Daquan Wright's the tight end, I'm pretty sure.
They're both tight ends, aren't they?
Oh, really? I did not know that.
I think they are.
What about that linebacker? That linebacker dude, isn't he one of the guys who's going to LSU, who from Notre Dame?
Yes. Junior. I don't know what his last name was, but his first name is Junior. But
yeah.
that Daquan Wright situation is so weird because it just not make any sense. He was just on the roster. Okay. He was just playing in an NFL game. He was warming up with the Browns on Saturday. And now he decides we're returning to college football. None of this makes any sense. And none of it ever will make sense.
Dude, and Lucas, I love your state of Louisiana. That's my dream state to go to. I've never been to the South. Louisiana is the state that I want to visit because, the European influence, the food, culture, all that. But I'm sorry, dude. LSU is the biggest clownist university. I don't care. Go and leave your whatever. You said you got a reporting job at LSU or some freelance. Leave that. Cover Tulane football or cover Louisiana University because this is bullcrap, dude. LSU is literally evil. Louisiana University. Louisiana University, right?
No. University of Louisiana.
Okay. University of Louisiana. Yeah.
Yes.
Cover those schools, bro. Okay. I'm sorry. You have to cover those because, like, LSU is just a clown show at this point. I'm sorry. Lane Kiffin and Will Wade, man. Like, they're literally the evil empires. They're like, in my opinion. But, hey, I don't know, man.
Artistically says I need to go cover Louisiana. I think I've gone to Louisiana Tech once or twice. I'll be honest with you.
Oh, Louisiana Tech. I heard about that. Yeah.
It's a nice look. I'm telling you, man, you go up to North Louisiana, there is a lot of nice things up there in North Louisiana. A lot of rich people there. Mike Jones says they can't enforce any of those rules. Okay, well, LSU is doing what other teams do. I'm not saying but Mike, listen. I'm not criticizing Lane Kiffin for doing what he was doing, okay? I never said that any of that. Do I agree with the decision that he's doing? Not necessarily. Or really, let me rephrase that. Do I agree with NFL players returning to college? Absolutely not, especially those that were on a roster. Is it a judge decision? Unfortunately, yes. But can the power conferences step up and do something about it? I have no idea. But the timing of this is absolutely ridiculous. And this really all started at the beginning of the year
when the NCAA dropped the 5-for-5 rule, so they excluded the class of 2022. But I don't know, man. And then you have this lawsuit that came into play at the beginning of July. Then the Colorado judge says, okay, we're granting the injunction, but then you have a change in it. I think it was last week that said, okay, that's no longer I think they put a stay clause or something like that on that. I really don't know with that whole situation. That's legal matter that I'm not very, very sure of. Mike Jones says the SEC is going to get sued into oblivion. Well, you better put in the other 3 power conferences then, because they're in agreement with this. Because it's you got to understand, it ain't just the SEC. Because the Big Ten, the ACC, and the Big 12 and Notre Dame are all joining them. You got to remember, Mike, the Big Ten started this because Tony Petitti came out and said no former NFL player or no guys that were on NFL rosters are coming back to college football. So I really don't know, man. I really don't know.
I'm gonna knock out that judge, that Colorado judge. I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't care if she's a man or a woman, bro. Because this judge is such a clown, bro. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it's disgusting. And they're listening to just one judge, and they're making their decision on that stupid judge.
She's a state judge too.
Get the hell out of here, dude. It's just so stupid. It's just like and I'll just say this: college football, the gameplay is always going to be great. It's fun, I think college football gameplay is it's better than the NFL. It's fast paced. It's more interesting. It's more fun to watch. NFL's way more slow paced. I like faster football, but man, when it comes to like rules and regulations and stuff, NFL destroys completely. Like, they actually have player association, all of this stuff intact, laws and stuff. This college football is a damn Wild West. It's so sad. Like obviously it's no WNBA. Nothing's gonna be worse than WNBA. But it's like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm just disgusted at this point. And like, man, I don't know. So sad.
It's incredibly ridiculous, and it is absolutely a shame to see where college football is at. Mike, I already saw Pete Thamel's post, brother. But again, you have all of this that obviously doesn't make sense, okay? I understand that you have the class of 22 that should have been grandfathered in with the 5-for-5. Here's the problem. The timing was horrible. That's the bottom line. You have a judge that comes out. Look, all you got to do is just go to a state judge, Burks, and just say, hey, I have this, I have this, I have this. Guess what? They're going to grant you a TRO. Go look at what they did. The NCAA has no more say in this. This is on them at the end of the day. The lack of transparency that they have shown dating all the way back to the beginning of January has led to this. So,
dude, Charlie Baker is such a fraud. The NCAA president, like, I'm telling you, he was one of the greatest governors in a state. Okay, so let me just give you a little quick something about him. I have family in the Boston area, right, New England area. That's why I'm a fan of Red Sox, Bruins, and Celtics. But he was an amazing governor. The fact that he was a Republican governor in a really blue state like Massachusetts, and they liked him, made a lot. Like, it's rare. He helped the state a lot in a lot of stuff, and they voted for him. He was a really great governor of Massachusetts, and it's just crazy. I felt he would have been done a much better job as a president at NCAA, but man, he has been such a fraud that it's disgusting. Like, I truly believe he was the best candidate to be the NCAA president, but man, did he F that up so badly that it's just. And I'll just say it, 2023 college football season was the last, And I'm not trying to be biased because Michigan won the national championship. No, that was actually like the last reel, in my opinion. There was like the rules were not out of hand. I like the 14 better, and it's just the Pac-12 was still intact because like Pac-12 was like just original Pac-12 was just amazing, and now here we are, and it's gonna get worse until something happens.
Burks, I want you to pay attention. Mike's been on a freaking tear lately.
Yeah.
How many times has the NCAA been either sued or gone to court with? How many athletes have they gotten to with the freaking eligibility cases? How many? Too many at this point. How many times have they been sued? Why do you think that the NCAA wants the Protect College Sports Act pass? For protection from antitrust lawsuits. Okay? That's why they want this passed, because of the eligibility cases and all these other things that have happened. Yes, I did notice that the EuroLeague wasn't on the ban list. Understand this. If PCSA gets passed, you have this provision in them. But what does this mean for the rest of the Power Four? It's SEC, Big Ten conferences from here on out. ACC and Big 12 will secede because, frankly, they don't have the funds to succeed in this new Super League that eventually we will have to go into, because the NCAA is getting their teeth knocked in. So with this, with PCSA coming into play, NCAA is essentially going to get knocked out. So gone are them, gone are the Big 12, gone are the ACC. We're going to have two mega conferences. That's what essentially we're going to have if this is passed. So, I mean, I'm disgusted at where this has gone the last several weeks of conversation, it doesn't seem like this has been a normal last year and a half in college football. It just seems so construed. And it doesn't make sense whatsoever. Okay? I don't know. I don't know.
At the end of the day, man, we're gonna all watch college football still, even if how bad it becomes.
At the end of the day, this is business stuff that gets people's attention. It doesn't hurt the consumer. People are still going to watch college football. Make no mistake about it. Will there be a nostalgic lore to that? Yes. Will it be something similar to that? Absolutely. Absolutely. But you also have to understand this is the new era of college football. And this is the new era. Well, really, this is the new era of collegiate sports we're living in. We got to face facts. We can reflect on the past. We can do all this. Guys, it's not going to change the fact that we have to adapt. And and with eligibility cases, with NIL cases, with all of this BS that has gone on, that has really ramped up over the past year and a half. Really, all of this, you could say the 5-for-5 rule really started with the Bediako case with Alabama, but it's been crickets ever since then. Now, did Charles Bediako play a big role? No. And then he eventually got released. Could he have sued? Absolutely. Could he sue now? Yes. But listen, this is where we're at right now. So, got to learn to adapt at this point in time. Does it really matter to the regular consumer? At this point, they're just ready for college football to return, man.
Same. I'm just ready at this point. This news will just be gone eventually, until
I guarantee you, by the time we have a show, probably we're gonna go. So new schedule, live tonight. We're gonna go live tomorrow night, and we're gonna go live. We're gonna have a special Friday show where we have the ultimate week 0 recap, or well, not week 0 recap, week 0 previews. Lots of stuff to break down, but it's gonna be a lot of fun then. And then come Saturday, we're going live after almost every big game that gets played on week 0, man. And we're so excited to have that. But Burks, any final thoughts for you before we let you go, brother?
That's it, man. Hey, listen, I just love talking college football. I love calling in shows like yours, Jackson's, Jeffries, because, none of my friends like college football. So it's really nice, to talk to somebody who
Some new
has.
friends there. Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah, dude. None of my friends like college football. They like NFL, but like they can't. And, it's crazy. I don't have a single one. Like I have a guy who goes to like IU, and I actually visited him last week. But like he was like he's now getting into football, but that's honestly because Indiana just won the championship. Let's be real here. So like, yeah. But no, hey, listen, man, it's fun talking to you and a lot of other people I like to talk to. And yeah, man, I'm just excited for this week, and hopefully get to talk to you more. And yeah, but appreciate it, man.
Burks, thank you always for your time, brother. We'll see you probably Friday.
Of course, man.
That's Burks, man. We always appreciate him joining in our shows, man. Always thank you to Caden. Thank you to Burks. We have a long list of callers that are regulars on here, man. So we really appreciate their conversations. All right, lots to talk about. Let's wrap it up for us here. Let's get into week 0 previews. When you look at the rest of this slate for the majority of where college football is heading towards, but before we continue that, guys, make sure y'all do us a favor. Like, share, and subscribe down below. We just got a new subscriber. I just got a notification on my phone that says, hey, you just got a new subscriber. So that's awesome, man. So I appreciate that. Make sure you all hit that like, share, and subscribe if you're a first-time viewer. Let's get into the rest of our week 0 slate coming up this Saturday. If you haven't already, I have already dropped a couple of previews for this Saturday. I've already dropped North Carolina, TCU, San Jose State and USC, NC State and Virginia. We will get into the rest of those tonight. The final 5 games that we are going to preview. I'm telling you, I told you, we're going to do all 5, or we're going to do every single week 0 video or week 0 game. And y'all thought I was kidding, okay? We are freaking college football junkies in here. I'm just letting you know. We're NFL draft and we're college football junkies. All right. Fargo Dome this weekend, 4:30. North Dakota State at Jacksonville State. I tried to get tickets to go to the freaking game, man, but I mean, that would have been good to be in the Fargo Dome for that football game. Jack State taking on North Dakota State. North Dakota State begins their first full season as a member of the FBS. Really, really intrigued for this football game, man. And I really believe that we are entering a season where, listen, we've heard a lot of things that, excuse me, we've heard a lot of potential news that, hey, NDSU is better than we think. And even though that they're better, even though that we have seen, some of the news about, okay, it's their first year, it's going to be a struggle for them. I don't believe that, man. So let's take a look. North Dakota State opens up as a 7.5-point favorite in this football game. Jacksonville State last year, they're coming off of a 9-win season. This was a team that was just in the CUSA championship game this past year. They're the reigning CUSA runners-up. North Dakota State currently a 60% chance to win. That'll be on CBS Sports Network. Jack State had struggled at times throughout the season this past year, especially with their offense rolling. So we'll see. Listen, you are going to be interested because JSU goes into this season with a ton of potential. They return arguably the most impressive and athletic freak in college football in DeAndre Johnson, the 6'8", 220-pound wide receiver coming out, who returned after another year with Jackson State. I was surprised that he didn't enter the transfer portal this past year. He was a guy that spent 2 years at Rutgers, solid football player as a true freshman. Wish he could have gotten some more playing time. He's a preseason All-USA second team. He is a freaking load at receiver. He's going to be the primary guy at the end of the day. He's the one that I really, really think that I really do believe that Jack State is going to have one of these strange years where, look, you think about what shoes had to get left behind. Charles Kelly, who comes in after Rich Rodriguez leads them to another 9-win season. They win in the CUSA title game. He brings along a lot of his pieces. Charles Kelly has a lot to prove upon, man. And he's got to add some big pieces, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Clint Trickett is no longer in Jacksonville, which sucks, man. I mean, that was a guy that I think had some really solid pieces around him. I think he utilized his pieces really well. From an offensive standpoint, this was at one point in the middle of the season one of the more consistent offenses in the country, which I was really, really impressed with, man. I really was. You look at what they did with Cam Cook this past season, leading in all of college football with over 1,500 yards. Gavin Wimsatt is more at J-State. He didn't even get much playing time this past season. But from a personnel standpoint, it's obviously going to be a new year for them. Taylor Housewright is your new offensive coordinator, spent last year as the tight ends coach. This is his first full year as a coordinator. At the FBS level, was the offensive coordinator with Montana State for a couple of seasons. That offense was rocking and rolling with them whenever he was at Montana State. And Montana State put up some crazy freaking numbers for a while as well. I thought Jack State, for what they did in the pool, I think they got some quality pieces. They get 5 guys that they added through the through the high school rankings. You added some really quality pieces. David Alpers, the third from South Dakota State, was a guy that had some really, really good playing, had some really, really good film coming from South Dakota State. 2024 was his breakout year, 9 catches for 164. I think he's going to play a significant role as a key tight end. I think they bulked up a lot at the offensive line position. You get 2 guys that were at the FBS level, and Bo Burks from North Carolina and Jackson Bunn, both guys that are from the Alabama area, and guys that you can easily slide in at offensive line. Caleb Holmes, who was a guy that was top 10 guard in the nation initially coming out of high school. You bring in Caleb Holmes there. You had some depth at the receiver position. You brought in Ronell Johnson, who was a consistent playmaker for Missouri State. Wish he would have followed Ryan Beard over to Coastal Carolina. Decided to go the other way and head on out with Charles Kelly and company. I think you've got some quality pieces on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, missing Cam Cook is going to hurt. Okay, let's put that baby to bed. Losing your number 1 rusher is going to hurt. But what do you look like with a brand new quarterback at helm? Okay. is this team going to be – well, I say this. They're obviously not going to be the same team that they were this past season. Caden Creel, I thought, took a big step forward this past season. I'm expecting him to play a significant role in 2026. Ultimate dual threat quarterback. I thought middle of the season, whenever he was hot, he was one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the country. 76% completion percentage, 66%, 68%, 61%. He wasn't throwing for a high amount of yards, but he balanced it really well with the way that he passed and the way that he ran. His legs are going to play a factor against an NDSU defense that loves to blitz at times. But can NDSU pull off a major, major win, a signature win that'll put them in the driver's seat to potentially take over in the Mountain West Conference? And it's going to be interesting, let me just tell you. But Tim Pulasic has done a really good job. Guy that's basically North Dakota State through and through. Spent several seasons out in North Dakota, 2006 to 12 as a GA, running backs coach, special teams, and tight ends coach. Offensive coordinator for several seasons. Iowa offensive line coach. Spent some seasons at Wyoming. Back at North Dakota State. All he did was just win a national championship in 2024. Was the number 1 seed this past season, and it had a really good opportunity to do some more. Obviously, the loss of Cole Payton is going to hurt you, as well as your number 1 receiver in Bryce Lance. But this quarterback class is really, really, really freaking good. Okay? Nathan Hayes has waited his turn for a very long time. Nathan Hayes has sat behind the Cole Paytons. He sat behind the Cam Millers. And now this is his turn to take over. 6'3", 228-pound senior. Very, very accurate passer. He is a guy that is going to have to create a statement early on. If this offense gets rolling, it is going to be a long night for Charles Kelly's defense. Can Charles Kelly's pass rush get after Nathan Hayes early on? We will see. This is going to be a big battle in the trenches. But, man, with all the momentum that NDSU has with them making the move from the FBS to from the FCS to the FBS, that obviously has to play a factor in this year. But I am very vocal, and I'm sticking to my guns on this. The biggest X factor is going to be Caden Creel. Can he get him and DeAndre Johnson in check? I have already said this. If Jack State loses this football game this weekend, I will chug an entire thing of milk. I am a man of my word. I'm sticking with Jack State to cover in this football game, and I think they win it. Big win for them on the road in the Fargo Dome. Massive win for Charles Kelly and company at the end of the season. Sacramento State at Eastern Michigan, 2 of the worst programs this season in college football. Sac State is obviously going to have to go through a rebuild. Brennan Marion is no longer in Sacramento, California. Alonzo Carter takes over as the full-time head coach now. Look, Alonzo Carter has been around the Bay Area for a long time, was around Oakland for a long time. He's actually one of the main choreographers for You Can't Touch This, which I thought was interesting. It was interesting. So Alonzo Carter has a very, very interesting story. And let me just tell you. He served on tour as a backup dancer for MC Hammer. And by the way, I don't know if you've seen this. He actually did the the You Can't Touch This dance during, I think he did this during fall camp. So I think last year or something like that. But I thought that it was really, really funny. I think it was either San Jose State or he might have been at Sac State as well. But he is a JUCO college guy, coached at Contra for a while. legendary high school coach around Berkeley as well as McClimb High School. He knows how to recruit at a high level. He did it at San Jose State with guys like Brett Brennan. He did it with Arizona whenever he followed Brett Brennan over to Arizona. Long-time coach there. So he's been with Brett Brennan for quite some time, was running backs coach for Arizona. Now the head coach at Sac State, first time being an FBS coach here. He's got a lot of things that he has to work on, man. Yes, Sac State is FBS now. Yes. Sac State is officially an FBS program. Yes, they're going to play in the Mid-American Conference. And, man, Sac State's going to have a rough year, man. I hate for what's going to happen this year. It's going to be rough. Make no mistake about that. Their closest game is going to be all the way, like, I think 2,000 miles away or something like that from what I hear. And, look, Sac State's schedule is ridiculously bad. They're playing at Eastern Michigan, first game of the season at Ypsilanti. Craig Creighton, longtime head coach there at EMU, a legend in his own right, did some really good things for a very long time. But, man, you got to admit, if you're Eastern Michigan, this is it for him. 5-7 in 2024, 4-8 this past season. This was a very, very bad defense overall, or really this was a very inconsistent team. But I will say, Eastern Michigan had 3 games. Losing to Long Island was an embarrassing loss for them. When you have all the momentum at home, you lose that football game. You keep it close with a team like Ohio that finished 3rd in the Mid-American Conference. You went to Miami of Ohio. You were able to hang around with Miami for a little bit. But listen, this is a difficult schedule. This is an Eastern Michigan team that is still going to struggle. I think this is it for Craig Creighton. Long-time guy. Been a long time coming for him. What does Noah Kim have to do this year? This is his final year of eligibility. Noah Kim coming off of a 2,800-yard season, 18-11 touchdown to interception ratio. If he can cut back on the turnovers, I think Eastern Michigan is going to be very, very good. But, again, we don't know at the end of the day what's going to happen with this team. I think that Eastern Michigan, knowing that this is at home, Sac State is going to have a rough time with the travel. It's going to be very rough for them. Give me Eastern Michigan to win this football game against the Sac State team. Look, I think Alonzo Carter is going to build a really good program there in Sacramento. I think he knows how to recruit the Bay Area really well. He's done it for a very long time. He's been around the West Coast most of his life. So this is his home. Sacramento, it ain't Oakland for him, but he knows the Oakland area. He knows that Sacramento area. He knows how to bring those guys that stay in the state of California and knows how to bring them along and develops them at the end of the day. So I think it's a really good fit for them. But right now with them being in the MAC, it's a really bad conference for them because it's going to be very hard to convince your guys to travel all miles, go on constant plane trips to play these games. But again, I think the experience factor goes to Eastern Michigan this year. I think Eastern Michigan is able to start 1-0 this year. Hawaii at Stanford. Stanford only a 4-point favorite going into this one, and I am surprised. Let me tell you why. Because this is a very, very, very good matchup. I think this is going to be one of the better games that we get this weekend. Hawaii comes into the season the most incredible team, in my opinion, because I really, really think that Hawaii is a dark horse. They are one of, if I can think about the top of my head, I believe one of 3 top-tier G5 or G6 teams maybe one of 3, 4, maybe 5 teams that can get themselves into the G6 spot for the college football playoff. Micah Alejado returns after being one of the most efficient quarterbacks this past year in the Mountain West. Is this his conference is this Hawaii's conference to take over after a breakout year under Timmy Chang? They finally got their issues resolved on the defensive side of the ball. Yes, they lose guys like your number 1 receiver in Jackson Harris. Luke Weaver is gone to San Jose State. But you brought in some quality pieces in Trey Griffiths from Oklahoma State. Carson Brown comes in from Iowa State. Audric Harris from Washington is obviously a big piece. Devin Alves as well. You brought in some depth that you needed at the end of the day. But where is Hawaii at as a whole? Who is going to be your number 1 guy? Here's the problem. Polefe Ashlock, we've been hearing some rumors. He is maybe hurt. So we don't know what his status looks like. That's why the line is so low and sitting at 4 for Stanford. If anything, I would have Hawaii as the early favorite going into this football game, going to Stanford. Even though it's at Stanford, I really believe that. Tavita Pritchard has a long, long road ahead of him. Okay? I love Tavita Pritchard. Tavita Pritchard's story is amazing. And if you remember, I did a write-up on this back in the summer. If you remember your history of college football, you know who Tavita Pritchard is. Tavita Pritchard was the backup quarterback when Stanford went into the Coliseum in 2007. Tavita Pritchard had to play because their starting quarterback at the time had a medical emergency. He could not play. Pritchard had only thrown 2 or 3 passes before this game. He comes in the biggest game of his life and comes up big with 2 huge plays. A 4th down play to Richard Sherman. Yes, former eventual All-Pro DB Richard Sherman, who was playing receiver at the time. Big 4th down conversion there, and on 4th and goal from the 20-yard line, throws a prayer into the back of the end zone, touchdown. Stanford wins 24-23 as 41-point dogs to the USC Trojans. Now he's in a very similar test. Returning to his alma mater, Tavita Pritchard understands the quarterback position. He's a former Commanders quarterbacks coach, coached up a guy like Jaden Daniels for a while, has been at Stanford his entire career except for the 2 or 3 seasons that he stayed at Washington. Quarterback there, eventually turns himself into a GA as a volunteer assistant, gets hired as a defensive assistant with David Shaw. Spent some time as running backs coach, quarterbacks coach, and then as offensive coordinator for 5 seasons. So now he's the new head coach. So here's the problem with Stanford. They have fallen so far behind in recent years because they have no NIL money. They have none. They just got a $100 million donation from someone. But here's what's going on. When they're not producing on the field, they haven't produced on the field since the beginning of the decade. They haven't been relevant in college football in a very long time. And if you know the Stanford that I grew up with, you remember the legends that were on the field. You remember them going to Rose Bowls. You remember them with the Christian McCaffreys, the Bryce Loves, the Kevin Hogans, the Andrew Lucks, the Toby Gerhardts, whatever. You remember those legends. You remember those David Shaw teams where they were consistently 10, 11 win teams and consistently playing for a Pac-12 title and always being in the Rose Bowl berth, in the Rose Bowl conversation or the Orange Bowl conversation. It doesn't matter. They were always in that. Now you bring in a new era after last year's chaos where you have allegations of
abuse by those that are inside the staff with Troy Taylor and the aftermath of what was a tumultuous time there, which in my opinion, Troy Taylor should have never been hired. And you have the bullying that might have gone on there. I have no idea really what went on. Frank Reich had to take over. You knew that that wasn't going to be a good match. Here's the thing. I think that Andrew Luck, here's what Andrew Luck has to understand. He is not going to be Ron Rivera and the boys at Berkeley. Okay? That's the bottom line. They're not going to be like that. They don't have the investment into a program unlike you see with other athletic programs around the state of California. That's just not plausible. Nobody's going to donate to that compared to what other athletic programs are. The only reason why Cal is so relevant is because you have a new head coach, you have a whole new staff, and there's an excitement. There's a buzz about that. You don't get that from Stanford, even with the new head coach in the building. You just don't. And I hate that for Stanford. Stanford has to come out early on, establish themselves on the line of scrimmage. They have yet to do that at all in their opening matchups the last several years. They have gotten down early and they've had to dig themselves out of a hole. And then you get into the fourth quarter when they start to wear down. So if Hawaii is able to hang around, if their defense can hold up just enough, depending on where Hawaii is from a depth standpoint, from an injury standpoint, I think they have the advantage in this game. I think Micah Alejado is in for a breakout performance once again. Micah Alejado is going to show you why he is the most dangerous group of six quarterback in the country. Give me Hawaii to win. Give me Timmy Chang with another massive victory and a big step forward to them being the front runner as the G6 contender for the college football playoff. New Mexico State at Florida State. I mean, here's the deal. New Mexico State is not very good. Okay? That's the bottom line. Tim Beck is no longer there. You no longer have the same roster that you had because of the way that the portal has kind of hurt you. Bottom line, Tony Sanchez is not a very good head coach. I am not a fan of him whatsoever. I don't know how he's still the head coach there. He didn't prove it to me whenever he was at UNLV. He's going to forever be a high school guy. Okay? Was at California High School, was at Bishop Gorman for a very long time. Fantastic. Then they went out and decided to go to UNLV. How does this make any sense? Guys, he's not a good college football head coach. It was a horrible, horrible hire. Horrible. And you kept around your old offensive coordinator in David Yost. And by the way, I get that personnel-wise it wasn't as good as you'd like, but man, you're telling me you can't do better than what offensively you produced last year? Come on. Florida State's in a make-or-break year at this point in time. If Mike Norvell loses this football game, it's a joke. They've lost to Jacksonville State before, but I don't think they lose to a worse team like New Mexico State. Give me Florida State in this one by big ones. Early on, looking at Ashton Daniels, man, is he going to be the guy? Is this offense even going to be that good? We've already talked a little bit about what Florida State could look like this year. I think Mike Norvell is dead in the water at this point in time. There's no way that you can convince me that Florida State is going to be able to retain him at the end of the season. So I don't know, man. I think that there is so much that has to get discussed whenever it comes to Mike Norvell's future, whenever it comes to where the program is going to head towards in the future. I just don't know. And I don't think we'll know for a very long time, man. I just don't. So
again, you have no one. Really, Florida State has nobody to blame but themselves because of the way that their program has been run the last several years. Florida State has been a travesty. They're an absolute disaster farm. They should have fired Norvell at the end of last year. I don't know why they decided to keep him on. They know that this is him. They have quality pieces. I'm not saying artistically does make a good point. Deuce Robinson is a good player. Yes, I agree. Deuce Robinson is a phenomenal player. I don't know why he's wasting his talent in Tallahassee, though. So I'm just putting that out there. I don't know what the quarterback situation is going to look like. I think both sides of the line of scrimmage have issues. They have been pushed around the last 3 years. Maybe they find a different rhythm this year, but Florida State has a tough schedule ahead of them. They play 7 of the top. They play essentially the top half of the ACC this season. So I don't know, man. Whether you finally get everything together or not, that's up to you, man. So we'll see what happens with Florida State this year. But, yeah, I have them covering pretty easily against New Mexico State. Final game of our Week 0 slate, and this is the one I think most people should be excited for if you're a G6 lover like I am. Memphis taking on UNLV out in Vegas. This is a very, very intriguing football game. Listen. I have never, ever seen a bigger game right now in Week 0 that could define a college football playoff for the G6. Really a slate that we've seen in Week 0 than I have right now. We have 3 teams that are going to be playing: Hawaii, Memphis, and UNLV. And I was very, very honest about where UNLV is. Here's the problem with UNLV. They do not have a single freaking, they do not have a single freaking clue as to who their quarterback's going to be, whether it's be Alex Orji or whether it be or whether it is going to be Jackson Arnold. So you have zero understanding of where this team ends up. So last year, everybody was all in arms about where UNLV was going to go. They said this is an early. I had UNLV in the college football playoff last year, but false flat of expectations. Offensively, you had no answer, and I think you were a mess all over the field. My question for Memphis is, how do they replace a star like Brennan Lewis? Aaron Nolan, arguably, is going to be the expected starter at the end of the day. Nolan's a really, really good football player, okay? And I believe that I really do believe that he is going to create a big impact for this Memphis offense. So the way that this quarterback position has gone, or the way that this quarterback battle has gone on both sides, it's been a mess, dude. It's really been a mess. And this is what I got from Liam Blutman this morning. If you pay attention to Barstool, which, I mean, Barstool, when you consider college football content, I mean, sure. I don't know. Memphis at UNLV this Saturday could very well feature both teams using 2 quarterbacks. Marcus Stokes and Aaron Nolan are supposedly still battling for the quarterback 1 job, and Jackson Arnold and Alex Orji will both play in the opener, which I am not surprised.
Man, Brendan Lewis left some big shoes to fill in that offense, man. Brendan Lewis was a phenomenal quarterback that is no longer at Memphis. Man, he was a phenomenal quarterback, man. He's really freaking good. He was really, really good. Marcus Stokes is a kind of a drop back guy. If you remember Marcus Stokes well, he was the guy that said the N-word and got his scholarship revoked from Florida. This was, I think, 2023 or 2024 that this happened. So, yeah, that situation goes on. Aaron Nolan was a guy that I was kind of high on whenever he initially committed to South Carolina. I was a big fan of him. I was very, very pleased whenever he transferred in from Ohio State. I thought he was going to be a solid backup for the moment. But, I mean, after he ends up getting in fourth on the depth chart, falls behind Luke Doty, falls behind Cutter Woods, which I was kind of shocked because I saw what Cutter Woods looked like in fall camp last year. I think he was solid. Was I overly impressed with Aaron Nolan whenever he got into a football game? Not necessarily. I mean, that team really had no direction whenever he was in the football game. Of course, it was in garbage time, but he just did not look as efficient as I was expecting him to be. But I expect Stokes to kind of be the number one guy. I know people are very high on Aaron Nolan. He possesses the traits that Kevin Decker likes in a quarterback. And I did a write-up on this back in May. Look at what Colton Joseph did this past year with Kevin Decker. Decker is a phenomenal play caller. Colton Joseph did some really impressive things for that Old Dominion offense. Nolan is a guy that's not going to run as much, but he's got to work on that intermediate and deep ball. Okay? That's where I think the advantage goes to Stokes at the end of the day. I don't know what Charlie Huff is going to do at Memphis, man. I think, in my opinion, and I've talked to several Southern Miss media members over the past, I'd say month and a half or so, dating back to whenever I was at Sunbelt Media Days in the middle of July. They do not like Charlie Huff. And they had some pretty strong words for him. And I don't blame them. So I put this tweet out here. And I am really intrigued to see what Huff does with the culmination of the season, okay? So Southern Miss had some really intriguing numbers at the end of the day. Okay, so I want you to go into, I'm going to go into the comments, and I'm going to read you some of the comments that Southern Miss fans had to say about Charles Huff. We hired a mercenary. Can't be mad when he does mercenary things. I wish we could have gotten another year or two out of him. I liked his attitude and how much fun it was to watch games. He did a good job. He says what people wants to hear. He'll check out on Memphis in a year if the opportunity arises. I wouldn't get too excited because of his flattery. Anyone saying they were surprised or hurt by his departure had their heads in the sand. We needed him and he needed us. We both got our rocks off and went our separate ways. Realistic fans knew that we hired a mercenary that with any success was gone to the next stop. He did what we hired him to do. The skid to end the season was disappointing. That's my only gripe with the man. He did not want to come back to Marshall, in my opinion. That's why he skirted off to Southern Miss, and I think he was tired of being in the Sun Belt. And when the opportunity arose for him to be in the American Conference, it was a great opportunity for him. Do I think that Charlie Huff is a solid coach? For the most part, yes. I think he's a phenomenal recruiter. I think he does well when it comes to being a player's coach. He has that about him because he's been with Nick Saban. He's been with Joe Moorhead for a very long time. He was with Joe Moorhead whenever he was at Penn State and Mississippi State. He carries that pedigree around him. Of course he would. Charlie Huff is young and he's freaking good at what he does, okay? Which is recruiting at a high level, getting dudes from the portal, and building upon their roster. Do I think this season was a good look for him? No. That's the biggest thing, though, that is going to hurt him at the end of the year. Will it potentially hurt that program when it comes to their future as a American Conference contender? I don't know. I don't know what they look like defensively. I'm not sure what they're going to look like as a offense. Are they going to have an answer at quarterback? Those are the big questions that you have to consider. UNLV, they don't have an answer at quarterback. But what they do have is that they have weapons all across the field. On the defensive side of the ball, can they take a big step forward? Zach Arnett was lost at the end of last year. And I thought that with him gone, you brought in Paul Gunther, who was your interim defensive coordinator. You eventually finally promoted him as the full-time DC, which was honestly kind of weird. It was so odd the way that it was handled. Regardless of that, UNLV last year defensively had some moments at the beginning of the year that kind of made you scratch your head. The Idaho State game was obviously a look for concern. The Miami of Ohio game was obviously concerning. The Air Force game. Then you get to Boise State and New Mexico. And then you get to the bottom half of the year, you start to see them playing really well. You held Hawaii, who had the most explosive offense in the 10 points. You kept a team like Ohio out of the end zone for most of the time, held them to just 17. Even lost the football game. You were impressed. They brought 10-win season, got to a Mountain West title game. Did you look perfect? No. Did you look consistent? No. Was Anthony Calandria a big reason why you were in majority of your game? Yes. Calandria was a massive reason why UNLV was who they were. So Calandria is now in Nebraska for his final year. What are they going to look like from a quarterback perspective? Is Alex Orji, or is it going to be Jackson Arnold at the end of the day? I don't know if they have an answer yet. I don't think they will have an answer. I think Memphis goes into Allegiant Stadium, and as long as I don't want to say this, I think from a defensive perspective, they're going to limit that offense. Okay? They are. But it's about who's going to make the big play at the end of the day. I think home field is going to play a factor into this. Give me UNLV to get a survivable win. What are your guys' thoughts for week 0? Let me know in the comments section below. That's going to do it for us here on the Southern Sports Scene. Make sure you all hit the like, share, and subscribe down below. Turn on the bell notifications so that you are notified every time we go live, posting a video or posting a short here on the Southern Sports Scene. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, stay blessed and don't stress. Y'all have a fantastic rest of the week. We'll be back on Friday. Lots to discuss.